Hey everybody, it's Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun, host of Vancouver Island Time. I'm here today on He Said, She Said, They Said with Andrew Plank. Welcome.
Hi guys. Thank you. Hi everybody. Hi Jane.
How's it going? Do you like our new bubble thing for our names?
Yes, I love the bubble thing for our names. I'm sure everyone will have noticed right away, immediately, that massive change in our production values.
Well, you know, I am a high action personality and I love shiny object syndrome. So if it's new, I love it.
Good. Okay.
So what's new with you?
I'm pretty tired today. I did not sleep well last night. It's my own fault, I think. But yes, that's nothing new really. What's new with you?
Did you have a productive week?
Yeah, fairly productive. Got some stuff coming up for some new listings, helping some buyers always with showings and so forth. I understand you had a few offers accepted this week, which is good. That's the unicorn in this market, is to get an offer accepted.
Yeah, 2 buyers and 1 listings. Yeah. It's an interesting process right now. So, I mean, everything I can do to sell my client, I'm to the listing agent to just show that they're credible, they're going to follow through. And because no one likes to receive an offer that you think may not go through, and then that you lose the client.
Yeah, and you lose credibility with your colleagues when you make a lot of assertions about, you know, this particular buyer, and if the buyer doesn't hold up, it can look bad on you for future dealings with that agent. So reputation is so important, and being able to have a good relationship with your colleagues, and that means, you know, being able to sell your clients, but being truthful and upfront about it as well.
Yeah,
I did have that happen with a colleague recently, where they told me something about their buyer, which made it pretty clear they weren't going to be the ultimate buyer, and they needed 2 parking spots in a place that only had 1, and they needed to make sure that there was something they could actually rent out, competing against a number of other buyers. And I really appreciated her honesty with me, and we didn't actually end up working with that agent, but I will remember that in the future with her, because I know I can trust what she has to say.
right. You want to work with people who have integrity. And so when your agent says to you, you know, you can go out and view properties once you've qualified with the mortgage broker or the lender, that's really key, because you don't want to write an offer if you don't have your financing in place. And that is the number one thing that's going to kibosh any transaction. So that's why we always try and hook you up with the mortgage broker right from the beginning.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, well, let's see what's going on with the market. Looks like it's hot.
Hot. Shall I do this one?
Sure.
So 311 new listings today, or this week, that is, with 275 properties in the last week going pending. So less pending than listing. We've been usually pretty close in terms of those numbers, eh, Jane?
Yep, we've been almost 1-to-1. So that's interesting.
Indicating that perhaps we'll see some increase in inventory.
Well, the other thing is pending happens when they remove their conditions. And so I've been getting more sort of, I would say, conventional offers where I have 7 to 10 days to remove conditions.
Mm-hmm. Right, as opposed to just having the property sold because you've received a few unconditional offers and your client accepted one.
Yeah.
Right. And interesting to see the number of price decreases as well.
Yeah. And so, I mean, the thing to realize is you can't just ask what you want. You have to be be realistic. And I think that's maybe a bit of a challenge right now, where sellers are very eager to get the maximum value, but actually you're more likely to get maximum value if you price reasonably.
Yeah, so it seems counterintuitive to some people where they're told, you know, don't list at a super high price because you may not get it. And at the same time, you don't want to create churn in the marketplace and have a whole bunch of buyers going through a property who can never afford to buy it. So always, you know, never list for less than you're really willing to accept, I would say. But yes, right.
I use this little triangle. So if you're going to list and you list here, which is at the top of the market value, and like if there's a range, you're going to actually only reach these people. But if you list in the market value, you're going to reach a broader percentage of people. So you really want to be careful. So net unconditional sales for the month so far are 769. That's compared to 608 for last year. So we are hot. New listings 939 compared to 1,084. We were thinking we're going to catch up. I think we will.
Yeah, and we had many more listings last year, 2,252 versus 1,334. But of course, we were in COVID last year, and we're going to be moving towards probably higher numbers. I'd say 15, 16, 1700s by end of the spring.
I'm hoping, and this list sale ratio, when I look at what this is saying right here, that tells me that maybe the inventory might go up a bit, which would be awesome.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a special guest coming with us today. I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out where my mouse is. So Tricia Lehane is currently living in the United States, and she also lived in Canada prior to that, and she was a realtor up in the interior of BC, and currently she's in Scottsdale, Arizona. So welcome, Tricia.
Good morning. I'm thrilled to be here.
Glad to have you.
So I thought I'd just show a video that you sent so that everyone can get a good idea of what it's like to live in Arizona. So just
perfect. Thank you.
Baby, come and get away. Let's start it over again. Here we go. You wanna go, you wanna leave. So baby, come and get away with me. You wanna go, you wanna leave. So baby, come. You wanna go, you wanna leave. So baby, come and get away with me. You wanna go, you wanna leave. So baby, come. Give me a call. I've been waiting just to hear you. Make up your mind. We got the world just like we used to. Believe in me, baby, when I say that I got cash to check out. You're the one I want. So make up your... So, did you make that up, by the way?
I did. In Canva. I did. And all of those pictures and music is in Canva. Because, people, if they haven't been here, I put it together specifically for people that haven't been here to understand what an amazing lifestyle we have here.
And so, are you from there originally?
No. And you know what? I'm sorry, I have to correct you. I was born and raised in Southeast Colorado on a farm, and in the 70s moved to Manitoba, Canada. And my daughter, my brother that's next to me live there, plus lots of friends.
And your brother, where does he live now?
In Winnipeg area. He actually is Minister of Economic Development for the province of Manitoba. So he has not a very fun job right now. But they're doing what they need to do.
Right.
So,
yeah.
And so how did you end up in Scottsdale?
Well, I was living in Kelowna, British Columbia, divorced. One of my very best friends met her fiance, and they've been together 16 years. And she said, Trish, you need to get on Match. You gotta try this. Yeah. And I met my late husband, and my dad and his wife wintered here. I came to Arizona to spend a month with them. I did event management and fundraising. And the next thing that fall, I moved down here, and that was 15 and a half years ago. And I love it. But of course, British Columbia has a very big part of my heart. As you know, Jane, I saw you a year and a half ago when we were in Victoria.
Right. And so what were you doing in Victoria? Do you want to tell everybody?
Absolutely. I have clients and good friends that live in Victoria as well as Shawnigan Lake. And we were on the dock at Shawnigan Lake on a Saturday, Sunday, and I was negotiating listing contracts. And my friend says to me, "It's too bad you have to work." I said, "Are you kidding me? Look where I'm working." Because, in Arizona, in the heat of the summer, just to give everybody an idea, Celsius, 41 Celsius is 100 Fahrenheit. And it's not unusual for us to be between 110 and 120. So it was absolutely, we were on that road trip for 30 days, and I've traveled to the national conferences for RE/MAX as well as NAR and Activate for RE/MAX Western Canada. And we work all the time wherever we are. And it made me realize I can play and travel. So yes, and British Columbia, yes. And then we were a week in Kelowna, but unfortunately, the fires were really bad that year in the Okanagan. So
we've had some rough years with that.
Yes, I know.
Or Chris, that's my husband. Andrew, do you have any questions for Tricia?
Well, I mean, you must work with a lot of snowbirders, Canadians going down south who are buying maybe a part-time residence.
Yes, absolutely. Just to give you a little bit of an idea, the greater Metro Phoenix area, we're just under 5 million people. And as you could see on my presentation, I mean, we are big city living and we're also country living. Mm-hmm. And I mean, amazing hiking and biking and fine dining, top end resorts. So in the greater Phoenix area we have two counties, Maricopa County and Pinal County. And in those two counties, we have over 25,000 snowbirds in the greater Metro Phoenix area. But that includes Scottsdale, Glendale, where the Cardinals and the Arizona Coyotes play. So, I mean, we're a huge city, and they pretty well, all of the cities touch each other. And you wouldn't know if you're in the East Valley, whether you're in Chandler or Gilbert. Mesa, you can pretty well tell because Mesa has a lot of RV parks, RV home parks. So, but 25,000 homeowners. And the highest percentages out of Alberta, probably close to about 9,500, and probably 4,800 of those are in Calgary area. And BC is right behind, just under 7,000 homeowners in the valley. And of course, I mean, pre-COVID, we had direct nonstop flights several times a day in and out of Canada.
Mm-hmm.
How are you finding COVID's helping real estate right now? Or what are the restrictions?
Well, because I have lived and worked in Canada, I've specialized in working with Canadian buyers and sellers. And unfortunately, most of my Canadian homeowners have not come down here just because of the restrictions. We don't really have restrictions of people coming into our state or our cities, but for them to go back, then they have to quarantine in a hotel for 3 days and then self-quarantine for 14 days. There just aren't too many people that can afford to quarantine when they go back to Canada.
Right. Yeah. Are you finding that any of those owners are, I don't know, considering selling?
Quite a few are. I mean, and you guys talked about your market. I mean, our demand, let me just pull up a few stats here. Our market is absolutely crazy. Our supply index is 22.2. Our demand index is 113.6. And our average price of homes in every area has gone up upwards of 20% in the last year.
What does 113.6 mean?
That's the demand. So it's not it's not unusual, Jane, for a property to come on the market, even in the million, 1.6. I have a referral client coming in from Michigan for a second home. And I went to an open house a few weeks ago, listed at 1.6, and there were 50 people parked up and down the street to go into the open house. So multiple offers, an agent, fortunately, it wasn't me back in my office back in January, was competing to 89 offers. It's not unusual. It's not unusual to see 30 to 40. 89 is crazy, but I mean, escalation clauses and waiving appraisals, and it's just crazy. So a couple of things that I think you would find interesting, your financing in Canada is quite a bit different. Like for us to have an agent, and we talked about it a little bit before, I don't put people in my car, not that they're in my car, but I don't go out with buyers until they're pre-qualified. But our average close time is 30, probably 28 to 35 days. And especially with the demand and interest rates right now, that's what's driving our market significantly. But COVID, I think, is really driving a lot of people from California, all of the Midwest and Northeast United States. I actually am working with a client from Florida. So I think people like the idea of big open space.
Absolutely. That house you mentioned that had the 50 people parked out front, I think you said it was 1.6 or 1.7. That's US dollars.
Yes.
What does that buy you? What was that? Can you describe that?
Absolutely. It was built in 2005. It had a very nice lot opening up to a green space and mountain views. Very contemporary, and probably about 4,400 square feet with a lot size of 10,000. Our average lot size on new construction is about 7,500 square feet. Of course, the United States, and it's very interesting. Jane and I have worked on doing presentations for Canadian realtors as well as buyers. And I always remind realtors that we are the imperial gallon, the rest of the world is metric. So it's hard for me to sort of get my head around the metric, but I mean, the home was beautiful, and I just can't wait to see what it closes at, because they did have 12 offers the first day.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's not so unusual here, I find. Like the 12 offers. There was a property last night around the corner from me. So do you remember, Trish, when you came, I showed you some properties in Colwood in that kind of big gravel pit area?
Yes, yes.
So just behind that, there was a listing that came up. And I remember when they were having trouble selling those, and they're maybe like 10 years old, and they were 800,000, and she got 14 offers last night, the listing realtor, and she just sold her house, and she said, I'm kicking myself because I should have waited.
Well, that's it. People would love to sell here, but I mean, and it's especially if you're a foreign national and you're remotely thinking about selling, it's a perfect time to sell. I mean, the projection is our prices will keep going up, but as I say that, we don't know that they will keep going up. No. So it is a good time to sell, but people would like to upgrade here, but it's the situation is, how are they going to find another home?
Yeah, that's the same thing here. So, and what we found last year was a lot of people who had investment properties were selling them, and now the next set is coming in and buying them. So I have lots of people who are interested to know, because I think there's more confidence in the rental market again. But last year was probably the worst time to be a landlord. That was
really our demand. I think that's what COVID I've seen here in the United States, just not Arizona. So Florida for inbound moving to their state, Florida is number 1, Texas is number 2, Arizona is number 3. But I think people are realizing home ownership is so important, where I don't think a lot of young people really thought home ownership was something that was important to them. But I think with COVID, they realize that it is significantly more important. And of course, it's your best financial investment you can make. So,
Andrew, were you going to say something?
It's long forgotten. One thought I had about, I know that if someone is a foreign owner in Canada and goes to sell, there's a withholding tax. There's some requirements on them that they hold back some of the proceeds of the sale to ensure that the government gets the appropriate cut. What
it's
is
high
involved for a buyer or seller of a U.S. property if they're doing it from Canada?
15%. Just so you know, I mean, the withholding in Canada, I think in Ontario and BC anyway, it's 50% of your gain. And in the United States, it's a withholding tax, and it's called FIRPTA, Foreign Investment Real Estate Property Tax Act, and it's 15%. A lot of the states also do have their own withholding for a foreign national in and above the national.
I gotta get this door. Just a sec, you guys. I'm sorry.
So I think a big part of is to have the resources, Jane, because it's a lot different. I mean, and I know, I mean, I think about your production level. I mean, my gosh, ever since I met you, chairman level Realtor and the top 100 with Remax in Western Canada. I mean, it's a lot different working with a foreign national seller as well as a buyer, because there is that 15% withholding. So there's a lot more involved in helping a buyer and seller do a transaction than somebody moving from Winnipeg to Victoria.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking maybe next week when we talk, Andrew, we should talk about all the taxes, because for people moving to British Columbia specifically, there is kind of, well, there's a foreign buyer tax, and then there's all sorts of vacancy taxes and all of that stuff.
And not to mention the property transfer tax, which even someone moving from another province may not be aware of. So a lot of sticker shock at the end of the day.
It is.
So how should people, like, what should people do if they want to move into the States? Because the financing is different there than it is in Canada. Here, you need to get either equity financing, so you get an appraisal on a property. But if you're a foreign buyer in Arizona, what do you need to have in place?
Well, actually, and I moved here in 2005 and became a realtor. I got my license, but really didn't practice till about 2006. And of course, that's when the whole foreclosures scenario happened here. And I sold $1 million house to a client from Vancouver. And he said to me, "You should be coming up to Vancouver to do workshops. BC loves Arizona." And so most of the people that were coming from Canada at that point, and the majority of my clients are not ever moving here. They're investors, one, or buying it for their own personal use. So at that point in time, the majority of people were taking equity out of their own homes there and coming down with cash, because as we know, cash talks. But I was selling $60,000 homes then in the outlying areas that would be selling for $280,000 today, and the Canadian dollar was significantly higher. So since that point in time, I've established a great working relationship with RBC Bank, and their headquarters in the States is based out of North Carolina, and their marketing person is based out of Florida, and they do financing strictly for Canadian buyers and sellers at a very great interest rate. So, and they, as I say, I speak Canadian and American. So when you connect with a person online, virtually, they understand your wants and needs. So, but I mean, I think it follows more the American way of financing, and it takes 30 to 45 days. But I have a client out of Edmonton that worked with them last year on a $2 million property and loved them.
So when
you see 35 to 40 days or so for financing, that would be like in Canada, we say we make an offer, and we usually are asked by our lenders, our buyers' lenders, to give them, let's say, 3, 5, 10 business days. depends on the lender and
Right.
how pre-qualified these people are. You're
Right.
saying the same process takes much longer?
It does. So they get pre-qualified, so they have an idea as far as a budget. But with what's going on in this market, I like to get them pre-approved, which is above and beyond. And I'm sure you guys are doing that up there as well, because it relates closer to a cash offer than a finance offer. But of course, here we're seeing realtors and buyers waive appraisals, home inspections, which home inspection especially is significant. I mean, even during the whole foreclosure sale scenario, a lot of people were waiving home inspections, and that's just not a healthy purchase for anybody, especially a first-time home buyer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Also, a lot in the States, the appraiser has way more power than they do here. So sometimes appraisals will come in low, and so then they have to go back to the negotiating table. Whereas up here, generally an appraisal in Victoria anyway comes in at, it's ascertaining lending value, and it comes in at what the market price that was achieved was, because it was deemed to be arm's length. So, but in the States, I'm learning a lot of people's appraisals don't come in where the asking price is, or
they don't.
Sales prices. Yeah.
They don't. Actually, I had a small little condo, 1,200 square feet in South Scottsdale with some people from Soyuz, actually. And we put their condo on the market for $259,000, multiple offers, and crazy escalation clauses. We ended up accepting an offer at $275,000. It had appraised at $263,000. So, of course, the buyer had to come up with the difference. But I don't like to ever encourage a client to waive an inspection.
Yeah.
Not if you can help it.
And here also, when people purchase in condos, they get depreciation reports. So we're looking not only at the current cost, but what the costs are going to be in the future for owning in that condo. So if a new roof or an elevator or parking membrane needs to be replaced, because unlike you, water is an issue here.
Yes, yes. We all have something, right?
Yeah. Lenders do look at that.
Pardon?
Lenders do look at the depreciation reports here, and they will ask for those and for some of the deeper information on the background on that strata building, not just what is it worth, but what are the future costs.
I lived in the west end of Vancouver when that whole strata scenario happened.
Leaky condos?
Yes, it was ugly. Not fun.
So a lot of those now they're reselling, and they did come with warranties, and the warranties are over. But I haven't heard of any real problems. Have you, Andrew, with leaky condos since then?
Well, when you say with warranties, you're talking about after they've been remediated. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, with the remediation, they've changed the actual, construction, the engineering of how they're protecting it from water. So it's definitely a better process. And anyway, the depreciation reports will tell you that it needs to have a building envelope every, 30 or 40 years again to upgrade it or whatever. So yeah, it's always going to need more work. There's nothing that is ever not going to need work. But no, the leaky condo problem is kind of behind us as long as
That's good.
The place has been addressed.
Yeah, they call it Rainscreen Technology. They do.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like putting a raincoat on a building. So it allows the water, sometimes water comes in, it's always going to come in, but it allows a way to get out. That was the problem, is before it didn't allow it to get out.
Yep.
Okay, so any final words, Trish?
Well, actually, I think Arizona, we've done a good job on getting COVID under control. I think we peaked around the 5th of January, and we had, I think, around 17,000 cases identified that day. And I think yesterday we had 480. So it's happening. We're one of the states that have opened, and masks are not a requirement. Pretty well everywhere you go, you do see people wearing a mask, which I think is a good idea.
So for people listening, how do they get in touch with you?
Please, my email address, and Jane, thank you for putting it on the screen, Tricia at ArizonaCanadianConnection.com. And my cell direct to me is 602-689-9977.
And Trisha is Tricia.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And Tricia, you're a realtor.
Yes, I am a realtor.
So in the States, they pronounce, we say, it's funny how people make fun of Canadian and American pronunciation. But in the States, it's realtor, and we say realtor. We kind of make it a little bit.
Okay.
Realtor for the States, the National Association of Realtors, it stands for real estate bull. I think Tor is in Taurus, the bull, right? That's how it comes out. You put more emphasis on that Tor when you say realtor, whereas we don't.
Well, my husband says realtor, and I, not all the time, but fairly often, and I have to correct him. But
anyway. Nuclear.
Her husband is a realtor, by the way, too.
Oh, yeah. He is commercial. Yes.
Yeah.
Or we could say he's a realtor.
No, we could not.
Hey, send me referrals and you can call me anything you want.
Well, it was nice having a dance party with you.
Absolutely. Thank you. All
right, you guys, if you want to get in touch with Tricia in Scottsdale, Arizona, you can email her at Tricia at ArizonaCanadianConnection.com. Mention our names.
Absolutely.
Because we want to make sure you're taken care of. And her number is 1-602-689-9977. And if you need to get in touch with Andrew, here's his contact information.
Andrew Plank at 250-360-6106, or email me at info@andrewplank.com.
Yeah, and my name's Jane Johnston. I'm with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun, 250-744-0775. You can email me at briarhillgroup.com. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe. Right here, we're here every Monday morning at 10 a.m. I'm a little punchy today because I got up early, by the way. And next week, we will talk about taxes. So we have our vacancy tax declaration that needs to be done, property transfer tax, sales tax, GST, anything we can think of. So if you have questions about taxes and what it costs to buy and sell a house, please be in touch with us, ask questions so we can address them during.
But you do have universal health care?
We do.
We do.
Yeah, that's a very big deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doctor.
See you guys later. Have a great week. And
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye, you guys.
Bye.
Everybody.